What is up, everybody? This is Common Sense Thoughts, spitting straight logic to expand your knowledge. I would like to start off by apologizing for not uploading for a week. I've had a lot going on recently, but I'm back on track and I hope to get at least one video out a week, maybe two if I can get another one up, but I'm going to shoot for at least getting one up a week. With all of that out of the way, let's get right into it. The topic of today's video is going to be abortion. Now, I was inspired to make this video after watching one of Hunter Avalone's videos entitled The Problem with Abortion. If you wish to go check it out for yourself, the link will be in the description down below. Now, contrary to popular belief, I am actually 100% pro-choice. I think where I disagree with a lot of pro-choice people is exactly when that choice is made. I believe the decision on whether or not to have a child is not made after you already have a child, but rather before you choose to engage in intercourse. Now, before I get into this any further, I would like to have all my cards on the table so that way everyone knows exactly where I come from. I am a religious person, however, I do not believe that using religious arguments are effective when making policy. Just like I don't think that using emotional arguments is good when trying to make policy. So therefore, I will only be using secular arguments to make my points. So if you go on the Planned Parenthood website, which I'll link below in the description, and you go under the section of birth control, you will see that the first method of birth control listed on their website is abstinence. Now I know, it's only because A is the first letter in the alphabet. I'm not trying to imply anything by saying that it is the first one on their website. However, I do think that it is interesting that it is the first one on their website because it also happens to be the most effective out of any of the birth control methods on their website. Now, they go on to say that they define abstinence as not having any kind of sex play with a partner, which means that they're not doing anything at all. What is most interesting is the last sentence that says, quote, "Being continuously abstinent is the only way to be absolutely sure that you don't have an unintended pregnancy or get an STD. So I guess that's it, case closed. All you have to do to not get pregnant is to not have sex. Me being a religious person, I see no problem with this. However, I understand that not everyone is religious and not everyone believes what I believe. Some people see no problem with sex out of marriage, and while I do, that's fine for them to believe what they want to believe. It is, after all, a free country. However, if you do choose to engage in sexual activity outside of marriage, I think you take on the responsibility of having a child beforehand. You go in there understanding the risk involved. And a lot of people will say, oh, it's my body, it's my choice. But then the question arises, is it really your body? There are actually diseases that pregnant women can get from their babies because their baby's blood type is different from their own. One of the more notable examples of these diseases is Rhesus Disease. Also, there have been breakthroughs in medical science that have allowed us to map the genetic profile of a baby within the mother's womb. The process by which they do this is that they separate the genetic code from the blood of the mother. So then the question arises, if it has a different blood type and a different genetic code than its mother, then is it really considered part of her body? I think the only logical answer to conclude is no. It is not part of her body, and therefore it is not her choice as to what happens to the unborn child. And then people say, oh, well, what about rape? Shouldn't abortions be allowed in cases of rape? Well, according to a study conducted from 1987 to 2004, rape only accounts for 0.3% of the reason that people get abortions. And in fact, I do believe that rape and incest and the physical life of the mother and the physical health of the mother and the fetal health and the mental health of the mother, I think those are all perfectly logical reasons to allow abortions. But as you can see, they only account for about a grand total of about 2% of the reason that people get abortions. So the question then becomes, should we allow the 98.3% to be justified by the 1.7%? No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't allow the 98.3% to become justified by the 1.7%, especially when the 1.7% is the only percent that is justified. Another thing that I notice about pro-choice people is that they never call abortion what it is. They all say something like, I believe in the mother's right to choose, or I believe in termination of the fetus. They never say, I think that it should be perfectly okay to stick a metal instrument into a woman's womb and to dismember a baby and to pull it out piece by piece. You never hear them say that. You always hear them say something nice and fluffy like, I believe that the woman should be able to choose. Now, why do they do that? They do that intentionally because if they were to call it what it is, then no one would be for it. I believe that former abortion doctor turned pro-life advocate Dr. Anthony Levitano said it best when he was testifying before Congress about why he believes that abortion should be banned.
A second trimester abortion at that stage is a blind procedure. You can't really see anything. Everything has to be done by feel. Picture yourself, if you can, reaching in with this instrument and grasping blindly anything you can and pull hard. And when it finally pops free, out comes a leg that big, which you put down on the table next to you. And reach in with this again and grasp and pull hard. Out comes an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And reach in with this instrument again and again and tear out the spine, the intestines, heart and lungs. Head of the baby about that age is maybe the size of a large plum. Again, the procedure is blind. You reach in, being careful not to perforate the uterus, and you have a pretty good idea you have it if you have your clamp around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they will go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the clamp and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you can pull out skull pieces. If you had a day like I had a lot of days, sometimes a face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations. You just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
Well, that is going to end it for today's video. Until next time, this is Common Sense Thought, signing off.